Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Data Leaders at the Helm. And in this session, we're going to take a look at how technologies and workplace environments are evolving and how these changes are turning data leaders into an emerging force and are placing them in a unique position to really chart a path forward for their organizations. My name is Pedro Arellano, and I'm head of product marketing for Looker at Google Cloud. Those of you familiar with Looker may have noticed that we have a new logo. It's very exciting. We are now part of Google Cloud. Looker's mission statement, which is to empower people through the smarter use of data, actually aligns very, very well with Google's mission statement, which is all about organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful. Another thing that Looker and Google Cloud share in common is that we are absolutely committed to investing in multi-cloud. And that's a common theme that you'll hear throughout the sessions this week. Just a bit of quick context about where the Looker product stands today. Today, there are more than 5,000 developers all building on top of the Looker platform. We have more than 2,000 companies all over the world using Looker, from the largest retailers and banks all the way down to 1 to 2 person startups. And something that will be pretty central to today's talk and other Looker sessions you attend this week, half of our customers are using Looker to work with data in a way that goes beyond traditional BI. Now, before we get started, I do want to take a moment to state today's goals. First, my goal is to hopefully you understand that the value of data within an organization is no longer up for debate. Everybody needs data, and everybody's job has the potential to be improved with data. Second, there are 3 trends that we're going to identify and explore in this presentation. And these trends will help put into context how we've arrived at this particular moment of such great potential for data. And finally, we want you as data leaders to significantly understand that almost regardless of your title, you're now in a position to really influence the direction of your organization like never before. So hopefully this is why you've decided to join this session today, and it will help you better equip yourself with knowledge and help you grow as a data leader in your organization, and also to connect further with the data community. So let's get started. Let's get right to the heart of the presentation. I'm going to start by highlighting 3 trends that are contributing to the success of Looker and trends that we believe every data professional should be aware of to maximize their own potential. The first trend is that everybody needs data and that everybody at an organization can benefit from it. In fact, I would argue that more so than everybody needs data, everybody expects data. So why is that? Well, let's take a look at this stat from IDC, an IDC research paper. It shows that the world's data is expected to reach 175 zettabytes by the year 2025. And just to put that figure in perspective, if each gigabyte in a zettabyte were a brick, we would have enough bricks to build the Great Wall of China 258 times. I mean, that's just a staggering figure. It's a massive explosion of data. But what exactly is driving this growth? What's driving this demand for data? Well, what's driving this demand is that the data-hungry workforce, as we call it, has arrived. Think about it. Today, there are all these job titles that didn't even exist 10 years ago. Jobs whose entire purpose is to work with data and deliver data across an organization. And there are so many roles that simply can't function without data. Quantitative marketers, DevOps engineers, data-driven product managers. 10 years ago, you still needed to convince your executive team of how much data matters, how important it is to be able to push the organization forward, and how transformative it can be. But the demand for data is now such that it's created all these job titles around data. You have digital marketers who can be way more effective managing their spend using very innovative applications like automated bots that automatically increase or decrease bids on online ads depending on the performance of those ads. You have product managers who can better understand product usage, and they can use that understanding to know where they need to invest time and where they need to invest development efforts, and also spot opportunities for expansion. But despite this growing demand for data across organizations, we still find that 66% of companies, two-thirds of companies, are still using spreadsheets for the majority of their analytics. Which begs the question, is this the best way? Are spreadsheets really the best way to reach people within an organization using data? Are the tools that we're using today the right ones to reach this data-driven workforce, or this data-hungry workforce? And the market has clearly answered this question, and that leads us to trend number two. Trend number two is that SaaS business and consumer applications are absolutely exploding. And yes, this is contributing to the massive growth in data volumes, but it's also creating new ways to reach people with data. So think about it. How many SaaS applications have you used just today? And just doing a quick count, I started my day on Gmail and Google Calendar. I used Google Chat to message my team. I reviewed my presentation and my notes in Google Docs and Google Slides. I've used applications to look at our customer CRM data. I used another application to understand our marketing funnel. So by the end of the day, I'll probably have used more than 20 SaaS applications. And what's interesting is that each of these applications is actually a data application. It's generating data, it's crunching data, it's feeding me data in some way. Now, to give you some context, the Looker team, we use more than 40 SaaS applications to run our business, but the average enterprise uses over 1,000 SaaS applications, and that number continues to grow every year. Now, as I said, all of these applications are data applications. They are data-powered products. It's basically a user experience built on top of rows of data. And their goal is to reduce user friction when accessing data and when accessing insights, and make the whole experience with data a lot better and a lot easier. So I'll give you a couple of examples. If you're a digital marketer, your job is already made better, it's enhanced by using Google Ads. If you're working with CRM data, you're probably using Salesforce. Salesforce is an enormously popular CRM system. And these products are trying to make data way more accessible to help people in an organization get their job done. But it does come with challenges, because these products, they're very good, but they're typically very good for one particular use case. They're designed for a specialized use case. So, for example, you probably wouldn't use Zendesk to analyze your advertising performance in the same way that you wouldn't use Salesforce to track and manage your help desk tickets. So these applications are indeed very powerful, but that means that they're also very isolated. And you have to jump from application to application to really do your job. And what that means is that you end up missing insights and you end up missing opportunities that are only uncovered when you're able to connect the data, and which allows you to see the complete picture. So when every department gets a specialized SaaS application like this, it means that you start seeing islands of departmental data start appearing. The sales team, for example, will use one set of apps. They'll use Salesforce and a few other apps. Marketing will do the same thing. They'll use Google Ads, they'll use Marketo and something else. The product team will use yet another set of apps, and so on and so forth. Across the organization, you see this happening. The problem here is that each department has its own island of data. They have their own silo of data, but they're all disconnected from each other. And they could all potentially have a different and even conflicting understanding of critical business metrics that should, in theory, be shared across the organization, and everybody should have a common understanding about them. So data professionals, we refer to this as an analytics governance problem, but it is a very big problem. It's a bigger problem than that, because it's also a value problem. Because the fundamental value of business intelligence, a fundamental belief that we all share, is that connecting data makes it way more valuable. And that it's only with connected data that we get a better understanding and a more comprehensive view of how a business really functions. Now, this problem, I'm afraid, is only going to get worse. It's going to get tougher to solve. According to IDC, within the next 3 years, 500 million new business apps will be created. So if we think that this is a tough problem now, if we think it's hard to organize data now, it's only going to get harder. It's going to get harder a lot faster. So the question is, what do we do? Well, something has to change. According to Forrester, over 80% of structured data isn't analyzed. And that's really unfortunate because it means that over time, we're losing valuable insights and we're losing the opportunity to benefit from connected data. But fortunately, there is hope. And that hope is trend number 3. Data infrastructure is rapidly evolving. So data engineering technologies have really come a long way. They've changed dramatically in the last few years, and they've really raised the level of analytics and insights that are achievable. If I think back of when I started my career, more than 20 years ago, the technologies that were considered the gold standard then are so different to what we have today. The first set of those technologies is modern cloud databases like BigQuery, like Snowflake, even some of the AWS offerings. These are bigger, faster, cheaper databases where you can store massive amounts of data. You can query the data at a much lower cost. You can do it at a much higher level of performance than these platforms of years past. But these databases are also getting smarter. You're seeing things like augmented analytics, machine learning, and other technologies that automatically generate insights and are integrated directly into the database. The second thing you're seeing is that once you have your data stored in a modern cloud database, you can now take a more modern approach to integrating and managing the data. And this modern approach doesn't depend on physical data extracts, and it can transform data on the fly, and it's called ELT. ELT basically takes the traditional idea of ETL and flips it on its head. It makes the management of the data ecosystem a lot simpler, a lot more flexible, a lot more agile. And you're going to find with this approach that you'll need fewer data extracts. You'll be able to access data in real time. You'll be able to access complete row level data. And your data updates are going to be simpler and a lot faster. But here's the key. What enables this new ELT approach, what makes it possible, is the growing importance of modeled data. And what I mean by that is the ability to use or deploy a semantic model that describes all of your company's data, a semantic model that defines all of your business logic. And with Looker, you use a technology that we call LookML for your semantic modeling. What's great about LookML is that it's a highly collaborative technology, and it allows tens or even hundreds of data engineers to work together on the same semantic model. And what this does is that it enables real data teams as opposed to having individuals off on their own doing shadow IT. So it's a very exciting time to work in this industry. These data engineering technologies or these advancements in data engineering technologies are really changing our world and our lives as data professionals. And they're allowing us to bring much more data to the cloud. They're making it faster and easier to deploy different types of data. And as I said, they really allow your workforce to work collaboratively and at scale. Now, let me share a glimpse of how quickly some of these cloud data technologies are being adopted. What you're seeing here is a view across Looker's customer base that shows the growth of different database technologies. So you can see some of the classic database technologies like Postgres and MySQL, and they're still being used. But if you pay attention to the modern platforms like BigQuery and Snowflake, the growth that we're seeing with those technologies is just absolutely remarkable. So if part of your motivation for attending this session is that your company is considering making a transition or an investment in a cloud database, now is the time to do that. Gartner says that within the next 3 years, 75% of all databases in existence will be hosted in the cloud. And one of the main reasons for that phenomenal growth of the cloud is the ability to leverage and manage data at the scale required today. So with those 3 trends in mind, let's wrap up this section with a description of what we think success with data looks like. The first criteria is that data needs to be complete and it needs to be trustworthy. There needs to be confidence in the data. People need to be able to trust the insights that your data platform is delivering. We talk to companies all the time who don't trust the data that their platform is delivering because there's no consistent business logic across the thousands of workbooks or spreadsheets or reports that are being used by their employees. So what happens is that instead of having productive conversations about the data, you end up arguing over whose numbers are correct. And in order to restore that trust, what's needed is a centralized and reusable semantic modeling layer. Something like what Looker's look-and-mail technology provides that allows everyone to work with the same definition of key business logic. So there's never ever any ambiguity over what the data means. There is only one definition of customer. There is only one calculation for profit. There's only one definition of revenue, for example, and everybody's speaking the same language. The second criteria is that data should be near real time. And that's really what modern cloud databases allow us to do today. They make near real time insights a reality. And think of how valuable this is really for any industry, but take retailers, for example. Imagine if retailers could optimize their digital advertising spend in real time during the holiday shopping seasons, just massively valuable. The third criteria is that data should not just have an analytical purpose, it should also have an operational purpose. And this is a really big departure from the way that we've come to think of data traditionally. It means that the insights that your data platform is generating should have the potential to trigger actions. And the reason is that modern business users don't just want to understand data, they want to be able to use data to get something done, to take some kind of action. What that means is that we finally have to actually go beyond dashboards in the way that we use data. Data should feed other systems, it should feed other machines to help people get real work done, to help drive the business forward. It should not be used just to display it on a report. So let's take a look at a few examples of how this actually works in the real world. The first example is a company called Salesloft. Salesloft is a prospecting and customer engagement platform based in Atlanta. And their customer success team monitors customer health scores. And these scores look at product usage and alert the customer success team of any potential issues early on. Now, unfortunately, this information has to be manually monitored and manually looked up in order to catch low scores before risking a customer churning. What they've done is now they've replaced this manual system with an automated system that they built using Looker. So they combined Looker with the Salesloft platform so that when a customer health score drops below a certain threshold, an alert automatically notifies the customer success manager of that problem and then automatically triggers an email within their engagement platform to start re-engaging with that customer. This is massively valuable for Salesloft. It increases the relevance of their customer communications. It increases the impact of their customer communications, and it ultimately creates a better customer experience. And notice how this use case isn't about showing numbers on a graph or on a dashboard, but it's still an immensely valuable data-driven application. And just how valuable? Well, this application helped Salesloft preserve $1.2 million in ARR in the first 4 months alone. Another example is CarnextDoor. CarnextDoor is a car sharing company in Australia. The CarnextDoor team was already using Looker. They were getting value from Looker across a number of different areas, optimizing marketing, delivering faster support, more efficient product development. But then they used Looker in a way that was pretty unexpected. Last year, there were some pretty severe hailstorms that hit parts of Australia. And these storms caused really serious damage to many of CarnextDoor's vehicles. And of course, as you can imagine, this resulted in higher repair costs, insurance, losses from damaged vehicles that they had to take out of service. That also uncovered potential new risks should something like this happen again. So in order to reduce future downtime and future losses, and to be able to continue delivering an excellent customer experience, the CarnextDoor team quickly developed a new application using Looker that would help them prepare for future weather events. So what they do is that they use Looker's geospatial capabilities, and that allows them to identify cars that are in locations that are associated with weather events. And in combination with other technologies like Segment and Braze, they can send alerts to drivers to help them get to safety. So this is another example of using data in a way that does not involve displaying it on a report or on a dashboard, but it does help CarnextDoor identify at-risk cars and at-risk drivers, and it improves the reliability of the service and it improves the customer experience too. And all of this is powered by Looker. Finally, an example that anybody in sales will relate to. This is about Slack. Slack has a product that they built called Midas Touch. The problem that the Midas Touch tool solves is that their sales reps were spending many, many hours every single week creating customer slide decks. So they were building these decks by hand by literally copying and pasting content from their BI tool into Google Slides. This is very time consuming work. It's very repetitive. It's very prone to errors. So, of course, it's a perfect candidate for automation. So they envisioned the Midas Touch tool, excuse me, at its core as integration between Slack and Salesforce and Looker and Google Slides. And what the Midas Touch tool does is it allows the sales reps in Slack to search for customers, communicating with Salesforce, and then request a set of pre-populated, personalized slides for that customer with data that's pulled from Looker, all without leaving Slack. So this means that a sales rep can generate a personalized report for every single customer and every single customer meeting that they go into with a single command. As you can imagine, it makes them look like heroes in every meeting that they go to. And it's a really interesting example because it's such a great story of how data can be used from multiple different departments and can be brought together in order to massively amplify the experience for every customer. Now, these customer examples show how the three trends that we reviewed earlier are all converging to create many great opportunities for companies to really build different kinds of data experiences. And for data leaders to influence their companies, to drive their companies in this direction. Now, when I say data leaders, what does that mean? What is a data leader? Well, data leaders have lots of different job titles. The obvious ones like Chief Data Officer, Head of Analytics, the VP of BI, a data analyst, data engineer. But they can also be people that don't necessarily have a data or analytics title, like a line of business leader. Essentially, anybody who can help shape the data strategy for their organization. No matter the title, these are the people that are tasked with creating a data culture. And that means that incorporating data into not just our work lives, but also our personal lives. So you can see the examples of these modern businesses that I shared. These data leaders are the ones who are driving the company forward. And that leads us to this idea that data leadership today really is business leadership. So the key is to find new use cases for data, use cases that fall outside of the conventional understanding of BI. This is a very interesting quote from Forrester that talks about how leading companies are thinking about data and how they are driving growth through differentiating experiences, products, and services. Experiences, products, and services. It's really interesting. And what I find fascinating about this quote is that it talks about the value that data can provide, but nowhere does it use terms like analytics or reporting or dashboards. And the idea is that data is no longer something that is used exclusively for the purpose of analyzing it on charts and graphs. Data is now something that can be infused into everyday business processes that can fuel operational workflows. It can be used to build new products to market. It can be used to make people smarter, to optimize your operations, to create new revenue streams. And this is very exciting because what we're talking about is expanding the idea of traditional BI and really bringing it into the modern era, the era of data-driven experiences. So, what can you do as a data leader to initiate this change within your organization and to bring your company into this era of data driven experiences? Well, first of all, think of modern data technologies. Think of your current technology stack. What are the technologies that comprise it? Think of your business users. Do they trust the insights that are delivered by your data platforms? Are these insights real time? Understanding the data technologies landscape is obviously fundamental for data leaders, but not just to maintain technical parity, but also to be able to innovate and deliver cutting edge solutions using these modern data technologies. If you're a younger organization, there's a good chance that you're already digital, that you're already cloud native. But if you're a more established business and maybe it's been a longer road to migrate to the cloud and migrate to modern technologies, you need to start this digital transformation somewhere. Where do you start? Choose a department, choose a team, choose a particular project to start getting technologies and people in place. The key really is to find that right use case and go after it. Secondly, imagine new experiences with data. As I said before, data is no longer meant as something just to be analyzed. It's really something that is meant to lower the barriers for your users, to fuel operational workflows, to deliver superior experiences for your employees, for your customers. The founder of Looker, Lloyd Tabb, has this very powerful guiding principle that says that great software is an act of empathy. And what this means is it means being aware of how users use technology today, of what tools you're using today, and meeting them with data in those tools. It means meeting our workforce and customers where they already work and bringing trustworthy data into the tools that they already use and they already trust. And finally, consider a new role for you. Data leaders have an amazing opportunity today to really influence the direction of their organizations in very significant ways. Every part of an organization that's going through a digital transformation is really fueled by data in some way. And data professionals who are capable of not just solving technology problems, but also solving business problems by using data to create new products, to discover new value streams, have become immensely valuable. And we see this within our own customer base too all the time. We see data leaders who have really delivered value to their organization and have moved on to business leadership. Really, the idea is that data leaders are positioned to be the business leaders of our time. So what that means, and to say it in a very lighthearted way, is that the data nerds have won. Data has been infused into so many moments of our daily lives, at work, at home, and these data experiences are brought to us by data leaders. Yes, engineers and analysts, but also, as I said, data savvy marketing people, sales people, product people. All of them are data nerds and all of them are data leaders. And as I mentioned, we see this within our own customers. We have a lot of examples of data savvy individuals who were able to rapidly advance their careers because of the value that they created for their organizations, for their customers through the use of data. We have customers, folks who were data analysts just a few years ago, but they became highly recruitable and are now in key business leadership positions at their organizations or other organizations. So to wrap up, I hope you recognize the enormous opportunity in front of you today, both for your company, but also for your career. Data is more valuable than ever, and people who can find a way to lead with data are in high demand. We're seeing more demand than ever from that data-hungry workforce and from a customer base. We see more and more data that's being generated by an explosion of SaaS applications. And we continue to see data infrastructure evolving and creating new possibilities for using data in ways that were just unimaginable not that long ago. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention, and I invite you to learn more about Looker and engage with our team so that we can discuss your data and analytics objectives. Thank you.